Welcome to one of the webinars of the book Kiezen voor Winst, or How Winners Make Choices. In this webinar, we examine how we can use case studies of other companies as inspiration for the decisions we face. Chef Grant Achatz of the restaurant Next in Chicago developed a new pricing model for his restaurant, based on inspiration from theater, opera, and aviation. If you want to book a table in this restaurant, you need to buy tickets in advance, similar to what you do if you go to a theater. Prices vary depending on the date and exact time you want to eat. Tables during the evening and weekend will be more expensive. In such a model, you clearly see the inspiration from the model used by airlines. That's just one example of how you can transform your business or business model by getting inspiration from other case studies. Let's examine now the steps you can go through if you want to get inspired. Starting with step 1. In step 1, you analyze the core of your problem, and you go looking for inspiration in situations where decision makers had an analogous or similar problem to solve. Inspiration can be found, among other things, by reading newspapers like the New York Times or Washington Post. In the quest for inspiration, it's good to share the decision problem with others. This can be within your own team or company, but of course, you also use your network outside of the company by asking them the question, do you know companies that once faced the same problem or dilemma? Useful contexts for this purpose are those with similar functions or professors at business schools. Especially the latter draw upon a wide range of case studies. They also, and often exclusively, have access to all the details of case studies prepared by leading business schools such as Harvard, ESA, Kellogg, because they use them in their teaching. Many business schools also offer companies trainees from their MBA programs who are skilled in studying a variety of case studies. They can also be a useful source of inspiration. In step 2, you document the solution adopted by the company that inspired you in the first step. In comparison to step 1, you will immerse yourself much more in the similarities and differences between your decision context and the decision context of the company that was confronted by a similar problem. You try to figure out in detail why the decision made by the decision makers was successful or not so successful. The answer to the why question allows you to better understand cause and effect and to reflect upon the appropriateness of such decisions in your own context. You can also best take step 2 with an internal team on your side, making sure there are a couple of key people of your company involved. The experts who suggested case studies in step 1 can be a good source of in-depth knowledge about the solution. In addition, the internet offers you an incredible amount of information once you know what you're exactly looking for. So once you know that the decision context X of company Y appears to be similar to your context, Google will typically provide easy access to more information. In step 3, you take a creative step. After you have identified similar cases and documented their decision-making context and solution, it's now time to return to your own problem or dilemma with what you have learned. You can now infer the potential solutions from each of the case studies. This requires you to translate the solution of the case to your own context. A successful translation often requires adaptations, so every adjustment will probably offer different directions. A major strength of the inspiration phase lies in generating a large amount of variations of solutions. Ideally, you generate in this last step of the inspiration phase as much as possible. So per case study, you do not define one potential solution to your problem, but as much as you can, each inspired by the case. It is recommended to use some creative brainstorming tools during this stage. So don't hesitate to unite different groups of employees to let them brainstorm about possible options while drawing inspiration from the case studies identified by your team. You could use a facilitator for this who explains both the business problem and the inspiring case study. In step 4, you make sure the solution you have derived from the inspiration phase actually solves your problem. You have now acquired deep knowledge about the company that previously faced a problem similar to yours. Also, you understand the solution that this company implemented. By now, it's very plausible that you are so involved in the solution of that company that you do not realize that this isn't the right solution for your problem. Therefore, a verification step is very meaningful. Does this solution fit us well? Does it actually solve the problem? Does it cause other problems in your organization? Summarized, you may find inspiration from case studies by using the following 4 steps. First, you search for the analogous problem. Then you document the source of inspiration. In step 3, you define the analogous solution. And in step 4, you verify whether that solution fits your organization. Let's now see how the Caesar Group, a company based in the Netherlands, used case studies to find possible solutions for an important strategic question they faced. Caesar's problem was the following. They offered customers 2 different services within the same brand and sales organization. On the one hand, they offered time value projects, which offered valuable project management expertise for customers who found it very important that an IT project was completed on time and within the defined budget. This service was unique and offered for a relatively high price. On the other hand, they also offered IT staff, Caesar experts, who are supervised by the customer, which was seen as a commodity by customers and was thus offered for a relatively low price. While the Caesar Group considered time value to be its business on the long term, it needed Caesar experts to survive on the short term. However, because Caesar sold both services under the same brand name with the same team of sales reps and using the same IT staff, some things went wrong. The Caesar brand did not support the premium price position of the time value offering. Caesar's sales team did not have the right skills to sell the time value proposition, and it rather sold Caesar experts because it was able to book revenue faster this way. The inspiration phase led Caesar to companies from other sectors that had already solved a similar problem. One of these examples comes from the automotive industry, where volume brand Toyota managed to gain a position in the premium market on the long run. However, they did so in a fundamentally different way. While Volkswagen sold its premium cars, such as Touareg, under its own brand, Toyota-Lexus continued as a separate brand, with its own dealer network in the market. The movement of Volkswagen under its own brand to the luxury class is generally regarded as a failure, while Toyota's Lexus strategy is considered to be a success. By analyzing the success of Toyota with Lexus and the failure of Volkswagen, Caesar concluded that they could only acquire a premium position by using separate brands and separate dealerships. Based on several case studies, including Toyota-Lexus, Caesar gathered a number of potential solutions to their own problem. They had 2 things in common. First, both services had to get a separate brand name, and secondly, both services had to be sold by different sales teams. Finally, Caesar examined whether these solutions solved the problem. Separate brands enabled time value, which would eventually be called garanties, to stand out from competitors and acquire a real premium position. An independent position in the group structure would allow garanties to spread its wings and continue to grow, which it did effectively. The ambiguity in the organization and confusion on the market by operating under the same brand name with the same team disappeared. Overall, in Toyota, Caesar found a company with a similar problem. Toyota's solution, introducing the new brand Lexus, proved to be successful. Caesar deducted that the solution to their problem was the introduction of 2 brands and 2 sales teams. This solution eventually effectively solved Caesar's problem. Thank you for your attention, and we hope that this webinar will help you in getting inspired to make decisions in your own company.